All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you. It's 9 minutes with me, IGTV, Facebook, and on YouTube. I'm here at Rosie's Corner, a proud sponsor of the ML Sports Platter. Make sure you come on down to Rosie's. If you're in and around Central New York, the fish is delicious. You pair it with the mac and cheese or your coleslaw and your mac and cheese. Of course, they've got your pizza and wing combos and more. And hey, by the way, the first 6 people to come down here, mention me, and get any pizza wing combination will get a free ML Sports Platter t-shirt. That's right. What a deal that is here at Rosie's Corner. So come on down. Pizza, wings, pasta, hot and cold subs, and more on your Fish Friday as well. And be on the lookout in a few days for Pork Wednesday as well. Lunch, dinner on Grubhub. Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram as well. Jody, Jason, and the gang doing an awesome job here at Rosie's Corner, a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. So sometimes when we get caught up in water cooler talk, comparing players from one era to another, a lot of times we compare guys based solely on championships. A lot of times that is the splitting hair difference. And what sometimes we fail to recognize is the era they played in. Sometimes it's good luck and sometimes it's bad luck. Think for just a second about the sport of tennis. When you look at Roger Federer, who has 20 Grand Slam titles, you look at Rafael Nadal, who's got 19 Grand Slam titles, and then you look at Novak Djokovic, who has 17 Grand Slam titles. We're dealing with 3 of the 4 guys on the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, in terms of how they played the game, the winning, how they've grown the game, and a heck of a lot more. 3 of the 4 greatest players of all time are playing right now, and they've been playing for the last 10, 15 years, most of that in their absolute prime. Well, what does that do for guys like Andy Murray and Andy Roddick? I mean, how many more Grand Slams could they perhaps have, or many other players? How many more could they have if they weren't playing in that specific era? Think about that. That's 56 Grand Slams. It's mind-boggling. 56 combined Grand Slams for those 3 players, Federer, Nadal, and the Joker. I mean, there's no room for anyone else to win, right? I mean, those 3 guys have dominated their era. It's incredible. And if you look at Rafael Nadal, by the way, for a while, the argument was just, oh, he's just a great clay court player. Well, no. If you take away his 12 French Open titles, which is absolutely absurd, by the way, he still would have 7 Grand Slams and be considered a top 10 player of all time. That's without the French Open titles. And he has been great against Federer head-to-head, and he's an all-surface player at this point. He's not just a great clay player. Hey, look over at golf. What about Tiger Woods? You think about Tiger coming onto the scene in 97, winning the Masters, of course. 99 was the PGA, and then all of a sudden it's bang, the Tiger Slam, winning the U.S. Open, the British Open, the PGA, and the Masters from 2000, 2001, and of course 82 career tournament wins, 15 major wins. What happens if Phil Mickelson, who has 5, doesn't play in the Tiger era? Does he have 7? Does he have 8? Does he have 9? Is he in the double digits? What happens to a Sergio Garcia? Does he have 2, not 1? Does he have 3, not 1? What about a guy, you know, even like Brooks Koepka right now, or a Rory McIlroy who came late into the scene, those guys late into the Tiger era? What about guys like Jose Maria Olazabal? Does he have 3 or 4 instead of 2 Masters coats? You take a look at many other guys who have 1 major. Does Jim Furyk maybe have another major? It's very fascinating to look at. You know, you think about the Jack Nicklaus era where he won a lot, but he also had to go up against Arnie Palmer. He had to go up against Tom Watson. He had to go up against Seve Ballesteros. He had to go up against a ton of elite players, where Woods has had a few elite players, but he's had a way deeper tournament. And, that depth stretches all the way down. You kind of ask yourself a couple questions like, man, I wonder if a lot of those other guys would have even 1 major right now if it weren't for Tiger Woods. You look at Bob May, for example, in 2000, Tiger had to make that roll or double breaker to just force the playoff. It's fascinating to think about what guys would do if they were in a different era. Another one that comes immediately to mind, of course, is the Michael Jordan era. Michael Jordan wins 6 championships, 3 titles, retires, and then comes back, wins 3 more. And you take a peek at the situation where Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton, those players don't have a ring. Clyde Drexler, none of those guys have rings because they played in the Michael Jordan era. Hakeem Olajuwon's got a couple, but it was when Michael Jordan retired. Now, the Rockets still maybe could have won that. I still believe that it would have been awfully hard for the Jordan Bulls to win 8 in a row, and I think, at some point there would have been a roster shakeup, perhaps the egos of Reinsdorf and Krause and Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan eventually. Do they even get Dennis Rodman if the team is going for a 4th, 5th title? I'm not really sure. I think Jordan retiring and coming back, finishing 6-0, and kind of the way it happened, The Last Dance, reminding me that I think it actually did wind up perfect for Michael Jordan in his career. But man, you look at Patrick Ewing, how different is his career right now if he has a ring? How different do people talk about Charles Barkley, Malone, and Stockton? And then you look at the situation in the NFL. My God, look at the Tom Brady era. Holy smokes, he goes to 9 Super Bowls. He wins 6 of them. Does Ben Roethlisberger have another one? Does Peyton Manning have another one? Do we have several other quarterbacks who have 1 ring? What about all the players in the NFC, maybe some quarterbacks as well, who perhaps have 1 title instead of 0? Look at the Dan Marino era. He went up against the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. Jim Kelly doesn't have a ring, but even before getting to the Super Bowl, Jim Kelly and the Bills, they were in the way of Dan Marino first. They prevented Dan Marino from even getting there. What happens if Dan Marino doesn't have to deal with the K-Gun offense and the Bills and the way that whole team came together, go to 4 Super Bowls in a row? Remember, I believe it was the 3rd AFC title game in a row. It was the Bills winning in Miami, preventing Dan Marino from getting there. And, of course, all the great regular seasons, the rivalry and all the rest. The Bills and then those great Cowboys teams in the 90s, several unbelievable teams in the 80s that prevented the Dolphins from getting to the AFC. He had to compete with the John Elway era as well. You think about all those years, and Dan Marino, if he's maybe in a different era, does he have 1 Super Bowl? How about Fran Tarkenton? Same deal, no Super Bowl. Dan Fouts, same deal, no Super Bowl. How different are the careers of Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, Dan Fouts, Fran Tarkenton if they have 1 Super Bowl? As it turns out, Trent Dilfer with a great defense has a Super Bowl. Doug Williams in a single season was an elite quarterback. He has a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson with an elite defense and a great Tampa Bay team. He has 1 Super Bowl. But quarterbacks ahead of him, elite all time, they don't have 1 Super Bowl. Look at the NHL. What about the 80s? How many more guys could have Stanley Cups if it wasn't for the situation of Wayne Gretzky, the Edmonton Oilers powerhouse, and the New York Islanders powerhouse? Those 2 incredible dynasties prevented so many other teams from winning a Stanley Cup. There's countless other situations. What about the 50s, for God's sakes, in Major League Baseball with the New York Yankees powerhouses? The Brooklyn Dodgers finally toppled them in 1955. But what happens if the Yankees are not the dynasty that they are with Mickey, Yogi, and Whitey and crew? Maybe the Dodgers have 2 or 3. Maybe Willie Mays' New York Giants have an extra one. What about the Braves of the late 50s with Lou Burdett and Warren Spahn and Johnny Sane and Eddie Matthews and Hank Aaron? Do they have 3? Do they have 4 rings? I don't know. It's just remarkable to think about. Probably they don't have 3 or 4 because the Dodgers were powerhouses, right before that. But there's countless situations where you can look at it. You look at women's tennis, look at the Serena Williams era. What about women's golf with the Annika Sorenstam era? I mentioned hockey. I mentioned some baseball scenarios. Look at the 90s Joe Torre Yankees. I mean, do the Mariners with Ken Griffey Jr. and those guys, do they have 1? Do the great Indians powerhouse teams have 1? Do the Atlanta Braves, are they labeled the team of the 90s? It's just remarkable to think about. In all the sports, based on your era, you can be either really, really lucky or really, really unlucky. And it's fascinating when you get down to it and compare the nuts and bolts of one era to the next. I'm Mike Lindsley, 9 minutes with me here from Rosie's Corner. Come on down, grab your pizza and your wing combinations. Again, any pizza wing combo here at Rosie's and you mention my name, you get a free ML Sports Platter t-shirt until they run out. Jason, Jody, and the gang crushing it here. Get your hot and cold subs, your pizza wing combos, and Fish Friday today with your mac and cheese or coleslaw and French fries. Thanks so much for watching here. Make sure you download and subscribe to my podcast. It's called the ML Sports Platter, all over the major platforms on your smartphone device. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.